Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. We're here to talk about women's health, female hormones, body image, and all things health and fitness.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Women's Fitness Academy podcast. I am your host, Ellen, a binge and body image coach, podcast host, of course, educator for Women's Fitness Academy, and a workshop facilitator. Today, I am here with someone who I have followed on Instagram for a very long time now. She's honestly just a wealth of knowledge. You need to follow this girl if you are interested in health and fitness and, actual advice that is scientifically proven. There has some merit, she can back it up. She knows what she's talking about. She's just amazing on all levels. And I'm super, super excited to talk to her. She's an accredited sports nutritionist and online coach. And let me see if I can say her name without butchering it. Anita Barry. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. So Baz is just my nickname. My surname is Barry. But because I was in the army. Yeah, it's my nickname.
Anita Barry.
Anita Barry is my full proper official name. But when I was serving in the army, we all go by surnames, and the slang word or the abbreviated word for Barry is just Baz or Bazza. I've just basically just stuck with that name, so that's my name from now on.
Yeah, I love that though, and I think people who don't, I've never had a nickname in my whole life, and not every time, here in Bali, people are sometimes like L, and I'm like, oh yes, I love it.
Yeah, you need to market that more.
I know. I need to start marketing myself, but yeah, it's one of those things where you can't really pick and choose. You just kind of get what you're given, and then you have to stick
what you're given, stick with it. Yeah, love it.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you today because, obviously, I followed you for a very long time, and when I was very into coaching, flexible, weight loss and stuff, I was always like, her page is the best page to go to for proper good advice, because as I know, I'm sure a lot of you listeners know, there is a lot of advice out there that is not very scientifically proven or good in any kind of way.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm glad that you feel that way about my content. I do try to deliver sort of informative content, but helpful at the same time. It's all well and good to, put out informative, educational, evidence-based information, but if it doesn't mean anything to anyone, then it's not really helpful. So I do try to put things into context and make it quite helpful. So I'm glad that you like my content. And likewise, I love your content as well, the messages that you preach and everything. Certainly a good aspect in this industry, especially.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that a lot of people, especially in the kind of science world industry, they make it so hard to read. It's all these fancy words and notes from this is taken from here and there, and then it's I can't even what does this even mean? What does this mean? I like that your content is it's good because it's obviously very evidence-based, but it's also you can relate it to the average person.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
So that's awesome.
I always want someone to come across my post and be like, okay, that I actually understand what that means.
Yeah, exactly. So hot tip for all you coaches to be, even if you know all the fancy words, you don't necessarily need to post them.
That's right. Exactly. I think it's also from a coaching perspective or a coach perspective, they may like to use a lot of the fancy sort of terminology or technical terms to make them sound smart or to make them sound sort of relevant. But is it really relevant if people don't really understand what you're saying? So it's definitely important to sort of simplify things. I'm a simple girl as well, so
100%. I remember when I first got qualified, I was using all this fancy terms. I was I actually know what I'm talking about.
We've all been there.
And then people are what does this actually mean? And I'm probably shouldn't put that in there.
Exactly.
But for the listeners who don't know, who are you? Where are you from? How did you get into the industry? Tell us your story.
Yeah, so I was I've briefly mentioned at the start. So I was ex-serving defense member. So I was in the army for just over 4 years. And I didn't enjoy my time there. There were certain things that I loved, certain things that I absolutely didn't like or hated.
Mm.
And it just wasn't somewhere where I could see myself like pursuing a career in. Um, Health and fitness has always been a huge part of my life. Like growing up, I've always had an active lifestyle. I was a competitive swimmer growing up. So basically, my whole childhood was just in the pool training every single day. So I've had this like big upbringing of health and fitness. And then obviously entering the army, they're very big on the fitness within the army as well, or within the defense force. And so upon realizing that, I don't see myself long term in the army, that's when I sort of thought, okay, well, fitness is my passion, health and fitness is my passion, training, nutrition. I want to help people with their health and fitness goals. So I'm going to make that my career when I discharge. So that's where I'm at the moment. So I discharged year and a half ago. Yeah, about a year and a half ago.
Oh, is that
And
recent?
yeah. So very recent. I'm actually quite like still quite fresh compared to a lot of coaches who have been coaching for, 10 odd years.
Yeah.
I'm still quite very fresh in the industry as a coach, as like a business owner. So I still feel, as much as I really appreciate people reaching out to me and like want to know my experience with coaching and that sort of thing, I'm kind of like, I'm probably not the best person to go to. Like, you're probably better off going to another coach who has actually worked in the industry for a lot longer than I have. I still feel like a bit of a fish out of, or not fish out of the water, but I just feel like very young
Mm.
in this industry. But yeah, so upon discharging, I then basically cracked straight into personal training, did face-to-face PTing, moved out of Townsville to Brisbane, and then I established my business completely online. So that's where I'm at the moment.
Wow. That is quite a journey. But like when you left the army, was it like, did you have this plan that you were going to become like a coach, or was it like, I don't know what to do now?
Yeah, I definitely had the idea in mind probably about 2 years before I discharged.
Yeah.
So with the when you obviously enlist into the defense force, like you sign a contract. So
Yeah.
you can't really just, put in a 14 days resignation letter and be like, yeah, I'm gonna leave in 14 days. It's like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
sign this contract, you're here for another 2 years. So it was about 2 years in, I was like, yeah, I'm getting out after my date, my time is up. So it was at that point where I really wanted to get a head start.
Mm.
So I started to gain qualifications. I was studying while I was in the army, so getting all my fitness certifications,
Mm.
um, my SNA, so Sports Nutrition Australia, becoming accredited under them, as well as furthering my nutrition qualifications with through the IOPN. So I've got a diploma in performance nutrition. So I did a lot of like study and that sort of thing during the 2 year period, or my final 2 years in the army. And I've always had my Instagram page as quite like a health and fitnessy sort of / personal life kind of gig, I
Mm.
guess you could say. But I never really put out a lot of like informative, helpful sort of information. It was kind of just like sharing snippets of my own journey, I guess you could say. So I did have some sort of platform, but obviously if I wanted to become a coach, I knew that I would have to show people like what I know, what my knowledge is, what sort of methods and strategies I apply for myself, and what methods and strategies could potentially be helpful for you. So
Mm.
that's when I really got stuck into the informative, educational type of content, and keeping that up as regularly as possible, so that at the point of my discharge date, I had some sort of a base foundation to work on. And then, yeah, I commenced face-to-face PTing. And then obviously along the way, once I opened myself up for business online, I had like a bit of a flow on of, I guess, a business flow. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you don't do any face to face anymore then?
No, not anymore. So I did face to face for about 6 months. So I was posted to Townsville. So as soon as I discharged, I stayed in Townsville for about 6 months, did my face-to-face PTing, and then when I moved to Brisbane, I ceased all face-to-face PTing and just did everything online.
How did your clients take that? Because I can imagine like, being a face-to-face trainer, like I know a lot of people like, oh, but I'm scared. Like, what are my clients going to say? Like, how did you deal with all of that?
It was so sad. It was really sad. It was hard, just because a lot of the clients that I had while I was doing the personal training, I had them from like day one. Like
Yeah.
my first, within my first couple of weeks of working as a PT there, and then throughout the 6 month period, I was still seeing them regularly, and they took it very well. Like they were very like supportive of me and my move and everything like that. Obviously, over that 6 month period, you kind of build that close connection. So it was sad, but they were, yeah, very supportive. And they all did decide to jump online. A few of the other clients, they still needed that face to, some people just do need that face-to-face interaction. So that's when I referred them to other personal trainers. But a majority of them did jump on board with me for the online side of things, which was great.
So what kind of clients do you normally work with then? Is it more, because I know you said before you're doing a bodybuilding show soon, or is it more like bodybuilding kind of style, or is it like strength, or yeah, what kind of clients do you normally work with?
So I mainly work with those who have physique specific goals or like hypertrophy specific goals, physique development, body composition, that sort of thing. And I have sort of like varied levels of, I guess, I have clients who are quite serious about their physique development goals, and then I have other individuals who are more within the general population who are just wanting to live a healthier lifestyle, just improve their health and well-being, improve maybe their relationship with their body image, things like that. So I work with different levels. With my bodybuilding show coming up in October, obviously during that sort of prep process, I'm probably going to start accumulating those who are very serious about physique development, because they can obviously see that I'm quite serious about my physique goals. So that is the direction that I would like to lean towards. However, with that said, I do have a soft spot for those who just want to live a better, healthier lifestyle, and they don't have to always be, strive towards physique specifically, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So is this your first bodybuilding show?
Yes, my first one.
Wow,
So
it's very exciting.
excited,
What has
nervous,
that journey kind of been?
Yeah, it's I haven't quite started prep yet. I've just finished like my pre-prep phase, so just did a bit of a mini cut, clean things up a little bit, and then I will commence prep. What month is it? April. So around May, I will commence prep, and I'll be dieting all the way through until October. Yay.
Jesus Christ.
And competing in October. So yeah, super excited.
Oh, that is very, very exciting. With all you like coaching online now, with your own lifestyle, with everything that you're doing, what has been your biggest struggle, like coming from the army and working online? Yeah.
So the biggest struggle for me, or the most stressful aspect, I guess, would be the actual running a business. So coming from especially the army, everything is taken care of for you. You got financial stability, you're on a salary, that every fortnight you're getting paid this exact amount. You're told in the army, you're just good at being told what to do. It's just monkey see, monkey do. What you have to wear at what time, where you need to be, and how long you're going to be there for. So everything is so like structured and quite regimented. The regimented side of things has kind of helped me transition to this lifestyle now, but it was more the financial security that I was so worried about. So that that was one of the big reasons why I started 2 years before I discharged, to really try to build up some sort of business platform that I could roll with upon discharging. Another aspect that I still struggle with even now, and I'm not sure if maybe not yourself anymore, living in Bali and always meeting people and talking to people all the time, but I've certainly spoken to other online coaches who do struggle with this from time to time, is just general loneliness. So it's just literally you behind a laptop all day, every day. And especially if you maybe live alone, or maybe you don't live with family, you don't have kids and that sort of thing. So you're kind of quite isolated. And even though you might have like I have regular Zoom calls with my clients, it's just not the same as face-to-face interaction. And it's certainly very different to being in the army, where you're literally working on top of each other kind of thing. Like, you're just always surrounded by people all the time. You're always, you literally work with your best friends. It's almost like family that you work with. So going from that to this, it has been a big change. And yeah, something that I am still struggle with it from time to time. But yeah, so those would be my struggles.
I can totally relate. And like, that was one of the, like we just spoke about before we started recording, like that one of the big reasons I wanted to move to Bali, because it does get like quite lonely. And like, yes, you have your clients, yes, you have, Instagram, you can reach out to people on there and talk to them on there, but it's just not the same as being in, not an office maybe, but like being in an environment where everyone's kind of working, you can chat, you can have a 10-minute break, have a coffee, talk about something that's not work, like. And it's just, I think that anyone who wants to get into the online space, just be very aware that it can definitely feel quite lonely. And especially like, we all go through like more quiet months or weeks or whatever. And at those moments, it definitely feels lonely. It's like, oh, am I the only one going through this? Am I the only one who's not getting clients? And especially with social media, you're seeing everyone else posting and you think like you get in your own head about being the worst coach in the world.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? There must be something wrong within my systems or something. Yeah.
Exactly. And then it's also like when you have those great weeks or great moments, or your clients have really good wins or something, and it's like, you try and tell your friends who are not coaches, and they're like, oh, cool, like,
cool, yeah,
awesome, black girl, like, I have no idea who that is.
Yeah. Exactly. And it is quite hard to, I guess, speak to people who don't have that sort of work environment or that sort of work lifestyle, because it's very hard for them to relate to it. So, it's always good to try to reach out, I guess, to those who are in a similar boat to you, so that, you can kind of support each other and have someone to lean on. That's one really awesome thing about social media, is because you do build up a bit of a network with others on there, so you can always just reach out if you need to chat about anything at all.
Yeah, for sure. And like, especially all you girls who are like new coaches, or even if you have coached for a while and you have an online business, just know that the ups and downs are normal, and feeling a bit lonely every now and then is normal. And I think, like you said, like reaching out to people on social media, I think it's so underrated. Like, I don't feel like people do it enough. Like, if you are a coach, like freaking collaborate with another coach, like talk to the other coach, like celebrate your wins with that coach, or let them know when you're struggling. Like, doesn't make you any better or worse or anything. It just makes you more human, and that gives them the opportunity to be more human as well.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So with your prep coming up, like, you've obviously, like, I followed your journey now for a while. So you went in your kind of bulk phase where you're trying to gain some muscle, and then you've done like a few like mini kind of cuts.
Yes.
Like, I don't know, like about you, but like, I know when I did one show. That's it. I was done for good.
I actually didn't know you competed.
Oh God, this was a very long time ago.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
But I remember that the body dysmorphia that was kicking in. Like, I know that you haven't like fully started your prep, like the super serious prep yet, but is that something that you struggle with as well? Or are you kind of more, just on Instagram, you seem so guess, confident in like who you are, what you want to do, what you're going to eat. But like, yeah, what's going on behind the scenes, I guess.
Yeah, spill the beans. Look, I think it'll be wrong for me to say, no, I'm fine, everything's perfect. I don't look at myself negatively or anything like that. But I feel like we should normalize that it's okay to have some bad days or some not so good days. And you don't always have to love every inch of your body 24/7. I feel like that is quite unrealistic. For me, if there are external factors that are influencing my emotional state, then that's when I can start to draw in a bit more negativity towards myself. And that's probably when I do look at my body, at my overall body image a little bit more negatively. But it is all in my head, and it is all due to, not all of it, but a lot of it would be due to because I may already be stressed about something else, or I'm anxious about something else, or I'm sad about something else, or angry, or these sort of emotions can come sort of like trickle into my head. And that's when I sort of start to really grab onto them. And then I start to reflect those emotions back onto myself when I look at myself in the mirror. So it really depends on where my emotional state is at. When I am in building phases, I feel like I've kind of been there and done that with building phases. I've done so many. I've been training for close to 8 years, and I've gone through many building phases. My biggest building phase was when I was recovering from anorexia nervosa when I was 18 years old. The body dysmorphia can kick in during those stages because, you're seeing your body change and you know that it's going to be beneficial in the long run. But you can't help but sometimes just look at yourself or you just feel very different. You feel clothes feeling a little bit more snug than usual. You have to go up a size. You have like your building phase wardrobe and then your cutting phase wardrobe and then like a maintenance phase wardrobe, and you've sort of got to like dart around these 3 wardrobes of clothes that you have. And as much as you really do want to trust the process, and it's easier said than done, you hear all the time, just trust the process. But if you've actually, been through it yourself, you know that there's definitely some tough days. But it's not like these tough days are sort of like prolonged for days and weeks. If it's getting to that stage, then something is not right in the process, or something is not right with yourself, and maybe this process isn't right for you right now. So, it's okay, if you put on a pair of jeans and they're a little bit tight and your calories are through the roof, so you're very high in your calorie intake, you're pushing your body weight high and that sort of thing. Obviously body fat is going to accumulate to some degree, with the goal to achieve muscle growth. You can't help but think, oh, like I don't feel too great in these jeans anymore. Like maybe I should start dieting now. But then you've got to like quickly sort of bring yourself back to the present and be like, no, I just need to wear clothes that I'm comfortable in. So these jeans can fit for another day. Like, it's not like I'm never going to fit in these jeans again. I just choose different clothes. Maybe it's like a loose pair of trackies or something like that. So I feel like when you're comfortable in clothes, you feel confident in yourself. So stop trying to like squeeze yourself into clothes that it's just no longer your size anymore. Just get different clothes and, try something else. So yeah, those would probably be like my struggles with I guess body dysmorphia, is just where it depends on where my headspace is at, and also like within my building phases, trying to embrace it, trying to trust the process, and ensuring that I'm not trying to deviate from the process because of my emotional state. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I so agree with you as well. Like, it's like, well, if they don't fit you anymore, like just freaking get rid of those clothes. But it is easier said than done though. And I think most of the girls that I work with, like the 99% of them are like, oh, well, I have these pair of jeans that I bought when I was like 19 years old and they don't fit me anymore, but I still keep them for, I do want to fit into them one day. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, no, like your body is meant to change all the time.
Yeah.
And, you're going through different stages of your life and you have
Hmm.
different priorities. Like sometimes
Priorities,
you might be
exactly.
really busy and you might not prioritize training and eating nutritious food. You might want to go out a bit more and eat a bit more ice cream, and you might
Yeah,
put on a few kilos, and that's completely fine.
exactly. Exactly. And I think a lot of people have almost like an emotional attachment to clothes that used to fit them because
Mm,
they remember how they felt when they were in those clothes and
mm,
they might miss that feeling. But I try to, this is something that I say to my clients is like, if you put yourself back into those clothes, like if you remember where you were, like your position when you were able to fit these clothes,
mm,
did you have a healthy relationship with food then? Were you as strong as you are today? Were you as fit as you are today?
mm.
All of these benefits that you've probably accumulated over this time, these are the things that are probably a bit more meaningful than you rather than just these clothes that just don't fit you anymore.
Mm.
So sometimes it is like a bit of a change of perspective when you are feeling like this.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so important to really focus on that as well. Like, how are you actually feeling right now? Like, yeah, you might look back at photos of you from, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, and you might have been shredded, or you might have been, I don't know, completely different size to what you were now. But were you actually happier though?
Yeah. Hmm.
That's really what
Exactly.
it comes down to. Like, unfortunately, your brain has like this way of remembering all the happy times as well in those moments.
Yes. Yeah.
But you really have to remind yourself, like, okay, no, but when I was in that size, I couldn't go out for ice cream with my friends. I
Mhm.
would go home from parties early because I didn't want to eat the food there. Like, I was carrying
Yep.
my meal prep around everywhere. Like,
Yep.
it's like, if that makes you
Exactly.
happy, freaking, go for it. But
Yeah.
it's all about what our priorities are at the moment.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
they're allowed to change. They're allowed to
Yeah.
change all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Priorities change, values change.
Mm,
And if ultimately these changes make you feel better and
mm.
happier, then what's the issue?
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes we tend to get too like caught up in like holding on to that part of ourselves that was doing that had that weight loss goal or getting up on stage goal or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And like I just had recently had this experience late because I also had anorexia when I was younger. I had been orthorexic, been binge eating, you name it. And I went back to Sydney and I had this skirt that I literally bought when I was like fully deep into my orthorexia. Like, I was training nonstop, only eating clean macro tracked food,
Yeah.
like obsessed with my food. And it's tiny. So I tried it on and I'm like, oh my God, there's no freaking way I could ever close this skirt. It's so small.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I need to get rid of it. But I was like, well, like a part of me felt like I was failing because I didn't achieve, I couldn't stay
Ah,
in the orthorexic kind of body.
yeah.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
in your eating disorder, it's kind
Hmm.
of like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. Like, I'm always gonna be like
Yes.
this. I'm always gonna be skinny. Like,
Yep.
I'm not struggling. Like, I'm
Yep.
fine not
I'm
eating all
fine. I'm
day. Like,
healthy. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, because that's the story that you tell yourself for so long.
Yeah.
So just like, guys, that you're aware that it is quite normal to feel like you are giving up a part of yourself, or that you feel like you failed or something like that. But that's not who you actually are. It's just the old part of you that's still holding on to that story.
Yeah, definitely. You couldn't have said it any better. Yeah, I felt that.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
definitely relate. But like it takes some time, but once you move well and truly past that stage, like if you saw that skirt now,
Mm,
you would probably be like, nah, bin it. Like you probably don't have that sort of connection with it anymore. You're kind of just like, the past is the past. I don't
yeah.
want to have anything to do with it. I'm here now. I'm happier. I'm healthier. I'm
Mm,
loving life.
mm.
This is what I'm about now. But sometimes when you haven't gone through that process of change, it can be quite hard to sort of let go of that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, you said you had struggled with anorexia when you were 18. Was that something that, like, what started that? Do you know, like, what triggered it from the start?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed at 18, but I probably had it when I was 17, to be honest. So it honestly kicked off when I quit swimming. So being an athlete growing up, you kind of don't really, well, for me anyway, it was just about performance. As long as you were fast in the water, you were qualifying for times for states, nationals, you're fine, like you're good. You're at a standard. And it wasn't until I gave up swimming, and got into boys and partying. And I found a gym because I still wanted to upkeep some sort of fitness. And that's when I started to care more about my body image and less about performance. And I started to compare myself to other girls in my grade at my school. And I didn't feel too good about myself. So I wanted to make that change. And I obviously took it like 20 steps too far. And I think as much as I appreciate the level of commitment and dedication that I had during my swimming, my 9 years of competitive swimming, when I set a goal, I'm not giving up until I get there, sort of thing. So I had that drilled into my head. And when I started my health and fitness journey, I was only looking my goal was to just get abs, right? And I got abs and that wasn't good enough. So then I started chasing the scale weight, and it made me feel good to see that scale weight drop down and down and down and down. And so I went from a healthy 58 kilos down to my lowest weight, which was 39 kilos.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. So I went from, swimmers, broad shoulders, lats, like quite an athletic sort of physique to almost nothing left of me. So I'm sorry, I'm probably getting a little bit sidetracked. Am I answering your question?
No, it's so fun. No, I just wanted to, because I'm always curious about, so I feel like everyone who has had some kind of eating disorder have so many different, like it kind of starts so differently for everyone.
Yes, yeah. So that's right. Yeah. So just getting back on track now with what I'm talking about. So that's pretty much where it started. It started from when I signed up to a gym and I started getting into this health and fitness gym sort of thing. I used to get all the fitness magazines because back then social media wasn't a big thing. There was Facebook, Instagram, yes, but I didn't have it on my phone. Like I was using, do you remember M.Facebook? Like,
no.
M.Facebook, it was like the free way to access Facebook back then.
Oh.
That was like my, yeah. So it was like, there wasn't really much out there. So it was just kind of like you just gain inspiration from fitness models with abs and probably some photo editing in magazines and things like that. And you just follow whatever they say. It must be right, Yeah. And I remember seeing a fitness model featured in one of I think it was the Oxygen magazines. There was a fitness model on there and she had her day of eating like prep. And it was like, 6 almonds and a quarter a cup of oats and 1 scoop of protein powder for breakfast. So I was obviously just like, that must be the way to get results. So then I would just follow anyone who looked the part. And I obviously started to become disordered in my eating ways and my training ways as well. And over time, obviously, that kind of like compounded and yeah. Then I was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa. Yeah.
Wow. What did your recovery look like? I feel like everyone here is so different. Like I have some people that I talk to, they taking them 10 years to recover. Other people like 6 months. What did that kind of look like for you?
So it was extensive physically in terms of like my physical body weight and physical, I guess, health. It didn't take me too long. It took me about 4 months to get my body to like a healthy BMI, proper muscular function, proper like cognitive function, things like that. Hormonally, it took me a year and a half to get my menstrual cycle back. Um, mentally, it took me about 2 years, as in 2 years to actually fully recover from, yeah, from my eating
Yeah.
disorder.
Yeah, I think it's such a, like with all eating disorders, I feel like you can't just base it on what someone looks like, because it's so much more about what's going on the inside.
Yeah.
Like I hear this all, especially with like binge eating. I hear it so much, and that's for how it was for me. Like I looked perfectly healthy, and I know so many people who look perfectly healthy on the outside, and they go into the gym and they go to all these events, but then they're secretly binge eating, and no one thinks that they have a problem, because they're like, oh well, if you're a binge eater, shouldn't you be super overweight? But it's
Yeah,
not
it's
about,
not.
yeah,
No, yeah.
and it's
It looks
so,
different on everyone.
yeah, exactly. And same with like with your recovery from anorexia. Like, yeah, okay, after 4 months, you probably looked healthy to the world, but the real battle, the real journey, that is actually what's going on the inside. So, did you work with a professional to get through this, or were you kind of doing my own? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was working closely with a psychologist, a food psychologist who
Mm,
was helping me throughout my journey. It's pricey. It was pricey, so I had to start paying for it out of my own pocket. So towards the end there, I was seeing her once a month. Prior to that, I was seeing her once every 2 weeks. But yeah, just closely working with her and monitoring everything, just finding what strategies and methods work well for me and things like that. So that was a huge help. I was also working with a dietitian as well
mm,
during the, I guess, the initial recovery process, just to get my body functioning normally again. Somewhat normally. When I say somewhat normally, it was just because it took me a while to get my menstrual cycle back, but I was taught and told how this would occur, and it was basically just eating enough calories. So I
mm,
was working with a dietitian and ensuring that I was not in a malnourished state, because I was very malnourished. So it's just basically nourishing my body again.
mm. Are you ever worried that like a prep would ever take you back there?
I've been asked this a few times actually, and I was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa in 2013, so 10 years ago.
Mm,
And it's only now where I'm really deciding to do a prep.
mm.
Um, so over the 10 years, gosh, I'm saying 10 years now. I think it's the first time I've actually like really reflected on it, how long it's been. 10 years, wow. So much has happened, not just physically, not just with um, my training goals and my health
Mm,
and fitness goals and things like that, but from a mentality perspective, yeah, I'm so at peace, and I look at developing my physique and working towards physique goals in a lot more of a healthy manner. It's a passion of mine now. Like I love bodybuilding. Um, I look up to a lot of bodybuilders, and it's understanding what bodybuilding means to you. If you're just in bodybuilding just to seek validation, just to do a weight loss show, because it's not a weight loss show, it's not a weight loss journey prep, then you're going to have a very hard time during prep, and you're also likely going to have a hard time exiting the show
mm,
as well. So if you just actually have like a bit more of a health, I say healthy mindset, but a bit more of a, I'm not sure how else to explain it, but you don't have this emotional attachment that getting to this level of leanness is going to make you happier,
mm.
because it's a continual process. Like it's the continuation of self-improvement, and that's why I love bodybuilding.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that it can also be super empowering and super healing to do something like that and really prove to yourself that, you know what, I am actually in control now. Like I don't have to go back to the way I was.
Yeah.
I can now shape my body however I want, and I can still accept it at all stages. And like I've seen you do a lot of the like sexy dancing, which I fucking love. I
Good.
really I this year I need to try it, because
Yes, you do.
everyone's been telling me like you're gonna love it, but I'm just so uncoordinated. But I love that you're doing that, and you've done it throughout all of your stages, like, and you've always wearing the same stuff, don't care what are you like? You always look amazing, of course, but I know that a lot of people, when they are like in their building phase or in the prep, you know, they're feeling differently about their bodies, like, and that affects what they're wearing. So I love that you just like going out there, doing it, wearing whatever you want, wearing whatever you're comfortable in, and just being a sexy motherfucker.
Yeah, I feel like sexiness really stems from just being confident.
Absolutely.
And when you finally feel confident in yourself, no matter how you think you look, and you just feel so comfortable in yourself. I feel like that real, like you just feel sexy just because you feel so comfortable in yourself. And obviously people can see that. And yeah, that's kind of like how I feel a lot sometimes.
Yes, I love that. Feeling sexy is a choice.
Yeah,
beautiful.
definitely.
Amazing. But okay, so what is on the agenda for you now moving forward? Do you have, so obviously you're doing your show. Do you have any other big goals happening next year or this year?
This year? So I've got my show. I'm really just it's been something that I've wanted to do for a long time, but I didn't feel ready. So now that I feel ready, I'm like, yes, I feel ready. I just want to do it. Just want to go. So yeah, I'm excited, obviously working towards that. I do have some other background goals that are, I guess, coming sort of, I guess people are probably seeing this now, but I have a second brand to my business. So I've got Coach Baz, which is my main like Instagram business platform. I have a second brand, which is Switched Nutrition and Training. I'm currently getting some a bit more like, just make it look a little bit more pretty, just a bit more like marketing materials and things like that, and a pretty logo design and things like that. But I've got that up and running. So what that brand is it's basically a second brand to my business where I'm specifically targeting towards military personnel, also those serving in within the Defence Force. I do have a big soft spot for those who are currently serving, obviously due to my background, but helping them with their health and fitness goals, especially within the training and nutrition. The military lifestyle is so different to civilian lifestyle, and it can be quite hard to work towards such, you know, your health and fitness goals or your training goals when you live that sort of lifestyle. So obviously I feel like I can bring something to the table because of my background and how I've still managed to achieve health and fitness goals during my time in service. So I've got that up and running. I put out a lot of informative, useful content for those who are serving as well. So I've got that coming along the way, as well as I would like to visit army bases specifically and run sort of like nutrition seminars or training seminars, just talking them through like how they can really elevate their training or their fitness levels, how to surpass the current fitness standards, which are looking very, yeah, I'm not going to make any comment on that. They're looking a little bit sad. So just, how to like really like prioritize your health as well through good nutrition. So yeah, a lot of that sort of work is going to be coming into the picture this year, and have plans for it. And then sort of leaning back towards my show, hopefully I can start to cater for those who are very serious with their physique related goals, but sort of in a way where they're still creating some sort of a healthy outlook on the sport.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I think that's great goals, and we need more of it in this industry. So for the people who want to reach out to you, are you taking on new clients? Where should they go?
Yeah, I'm absolutely taking on new clients. So you can find me at coach_Baz_. That's my Instagram name. Feel free to shoot me a message. I'm always down for a chat about anything. You don't even have to reach out for coaching. I'm always active on my stories as well. I respond to everyone. What's the point of having social media if you're not going to be social? So I am quite a social butterfly on there. But yeah, you can find me there. I put out a lot of informative content via my posts and my stories. And then I have my second Instagram account. So if you are someone looking to enlist into the Defence Forces, or if you're currently serving or know anyone currently serving, then that is also another great platform to seek out for some good content.
Yeah, absolutely. We will list these in the show notes as well, so you guys can check her out and just read through all her amazing content, because it's really quite incredible. But it's been so freaking nice to talk to you, and just actually, like, because I've followed you for so long, it's nice to kind of meet you, I guess, but over Zoom.
Yeah, we'll have to, if I visit Bali, I'll definitely have to catch up with you for a coffee or something.
Yes, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Guys,
Amazing.
thank you so much for listening. As always, please make sure you do take a screenshot of the podcast. You put it on your story, tag myself, tag Anita, tag Women's Fitness Academy, and let us know what you thought, what your key takeaways were. We love to connect with you guys, as you know. But again, Anita, thank you so much for jumping on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me, Ellen. And I hope your listeners enjoyed this.